This video is an interesting little story time video. I've got an interesting background today. This is an airport, a training airport here in Gauteng. We work right next to it. Obviously we're in aviation, so right in the middle of all of it, and I thought I'd use it as a background because I need to get this done and I didn't want to sit in my car again. So this video is about the time that I saved a baby bird, and some crazy stuff happened as a result. So what happened was we had people over. We were all sitting in front of the TV being high and stuff, and then my sister actually heard my dog or her dog going crazy, and she understood that something was up, so she went to check what's going on. She doesn't get high, so she didn't participate, so she could actually pay attention to the surroundings, and she went to investigate. And what happened was the dogs had got hold of a baby bird. They hadn't hurt it, they hadn't done anything to it yet, but they did have hold of it. And my sister got this bird, or at least she said, hey, there's a bird. So I went and looked after the bird, checked out the bird. By the way, just if you can see it there, I will have to blur out my number plate, but if you can see it over there, that plane, that double engine, if I could have a plane, it would be that plane. It's so nice. I then go out in my high state of mind. I then go and check what's going on, because my sister says something's going on, but it's dark and she doesn't have great eyesight. So I go and check what's going on. And yes, it's true, there is in fact a baby bird. It was a fledgling, but it was on the cusp of adulthood. So we were like, well, what do we do with it? It was still a fledgling, you could see that. So I obviously took it in, put it in a shoebox. And this is where I started, this little birdie is how I started healing my touch. Touch was always a big thing for me in terms of, I have to be super comfortable in order to be touched and in order to touch as well. So, you know, there was always hesitance with touch. Certain things I didn't mind, like my dog Azula, I can grab her and she's fine with it because she's perfectly okay with it. But then you get, like, Saka is not happy about it, and touch with people is a big thing of hesitance for me. This little birdie started helping me identify how to do it properly. So just, you know, completely self-assured in the touch, no worries about it, no issues or hassles. Just getting distracted, there's a lot going on now. Of course, it's literally, this road never has anything, and of course Murphy's Law. So the little birdie, I didn't want to touch it at first because of that myth. It did turn out to be a myth, but it's a myth of birds won't come back if their fledglings have been touched. That was my first hesitation. Then my second hesitation was, how do I touch this baby bird, this little delicate little thing, and not hurt it? And there was a bunch of other hesitations to it. So I wasn't touching it. I did pick it up, obviously, and I put it in a shoebox, but then I wasn't really doing anything. But then it was sitting in my office. I got a little bit of food for it. I did some Googling and all of that stuff. Put it in a little box, put it in my office, and which is my studio. If you want to check out the gaming channel, you'll see what the studio looks like. It's new now, but you'll see what it's evolved over time. Nonetheless, I put it there in the shoebox, and then it was making noise. Jeep, jeep, jeep. So then what I had to do was go and check up on it. How? There is never anybody on this road, and now of course I come out here and everybody wants to drive down this fucking road. It's even a cul-de-sac, dude, but whatever. The bird was making noise. I went and checked on it, and I decided, hey, this bird is wanting something more than food. Just my intuition took over and said this bird needs something more. So I literally let my intuition just handle it. My body kind of took itself over. I grabbed the bird and I kind of just settled it against my chest like this, and I held it there. I was a little bit hesitant still. I didn't want to squish it or squeeze it. And then the more I got comfortable with myself in the interaction of touch, I realized what the bird was wanting. And I've kind of learned that that's the case, is you actually learn as you touch. You learn where the right spots are. Your intuition guides you. And this little birdie is what started me learning that, where I realized the bird was loving this attention, and it was calming down, and its nerves were chilling, its energy was coming down, And so I just started pushing harder, and I was squeezing against me and like loving it. I even put it against my cheeks and literally like, you know, really loving this thing, and it loved it. Its eyes started doing this, and it was so cute. I do have pictures of this. I don't know if I've put them on my Instagram, but I should. And if they are, then you can go check out my Instagram as well. I'll put a link in the description. Because a lot of these stories have context to them in the way or form of images and photos, so you can actually see some of the stuff live for yourself. Everyone was then telling me, hey, you shouldn't have done that, the mom's not going to come back, blah 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 blah. And I was just like, I don't care, dude. Actually, I don't care. In the moment, that's what felt exactly right. I also had a big crush at the time, and the morning after, so the bird stayed with me for the night, then the morning after, I went on a run with this chick, and she goes, not the chick baby, the chick as in my crush, and she goes on and on about how just making me doubt myself about the whole situation. And of course back then, because I was, you know, I had feelings for this chick, she was able to convince me a little more than what others were, or at least I wasn't able to backtalk to her as much as I would have now. Back then I was still hesitant when it comes to things like feelings for people. I used to be hesitant about speaking my mind. That's freaking noisy, dude. And you've got cars going past and people walking by. This is not a conducive environment to this sort of experience. Nonetheless, here we are doing it. So everyone just made me doubt myself, and I was sitting thinking like, and then on the drive home, because she was saying the mom is not going to come back, that's not going to happen, I was sitting thinking like, something's going to happen, right? Something has to happen. This is not just going to be, I looked after this bird and then that's that. Something has to happen here, because it always does. Whenever something interesting like this happens, it always ends in an interesting way. And the interesting way was that after the run, I was driving home, doubting myself, doubting everything, thinking like, how am I going to look after a bird now? Can I take it to a bird sanctuary? What am I going to do with this freaking bird now that the mom's not going to come back? And then the most interesting thing happened. I got home and I heard on the roof of my studio, because my roof studio is made of tin. So the roof of my studio, I was hearing knocking. We have a stairway that has a window that overlooks that tin roof. So up on that stairway, I look outside on the roof, and there is a bird that looks like the same bird I've got, that has food in her mouth. And I realized, I started putting two and two together. I was like, no, there's no freaking ways. That's the mom. The mom's actually come back after a whole night. The mom's come back for the baby with food, made noise, made her presence known to notify me that she's there so she can take over again. I was like, no ways. I was stunned. So but I had a feeling, right? I had this feeling that something like that was gonna happen. So I then go and grab the baby bird. So it wasn't shock, but it was like amazement. That's the word it was, is amazement. I then go and grab the baby bird, take him outside, put him on the roof, put a little bit of food there so the mom doesn't have to run away and come back. She did put her food in the baby's mouth, and then she just used the food there. And clearly it was a fledgling that was just about to fly, because once she had fed the fledgling enough that she was happy that it was now fed, she went to the side of the roof. The fledgling went to the side of the roof. She flew off, and the fledgling flew off, and that was that. So what must have happened was the fledgling tried to take off initially, fell to the ground, the dogs found it, we then found it, looked after it, the mom came back, showed it how to fly off again, and then continued about their life. Like, it was so amazing. And that is the time that I wouldn't say saved, but I would say helped a baby bird, or a bird on the precipice of adulthood, to get back on its feet and go back into life. It's pretty cool. It was a very cool story. I've got a lot of stories with birds. For some reason, I have got a lot of story with birds. But anyways, that was this video. I hope you liked it. regardless of all the nonsense going on around us. Thanks for liking and leaving a comment. If you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, please subscribe as well. I want to grow a channel. I don't care what channel it is, but I want to grow one. And if this is the channel that grows, that's cool. I've got a bunch of ideas for other channels though. I've got a music channel that will start up eventually. I've also got a very interesting new gaming channel concept that I want to try out. If you're into that, please follow me, follow all my socials. Keep along with me because I want to turn my life into a social media standpoint. I want to be an online presence. You know, I live an interesting life. I have interesting stories. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.